Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, and Foreman is...
Welcome back, Finer Things Club League owners. 13, count them. 1, 2, 3, I ain't counting all them weeks. 13 weeks are wrapped up. What a wild week in the Finer Things Club. So many matchups and implications to talk about. We have another team who has clinched a playoff spot, and we have another team who has been eliminated from playoff contention. We have a Survivor Contest winner and the trade deadline quickly approaching. And so much more to talk about. But before we do any of that, you know what time it is. It's time for that rundown.
Do you have a rundown that I could take a look at just so I know what type of rundown you're looking for?
Just keep it simple.
Keeping it simple, that's what I'm doing. But I am working hard on this one, real hard.
You're working hard on this?
No, not too hard, not harder than I should.
Right. I mean, why work harder than you should?
No, I...
We begin with our Thursday night football matchup as we always do, starting with the number 10 team, Uncle Creepies, who has sat in that spot all season long at 1-11, taking on the number 9 team, Mr. Poop, at 4-8, and what started to be close, then started to look like it was pulling away, then ended kind of close, was this matchup. Mr. Poop, though, ultimately takes the 114-104 victory. Let's start with the Mr. Poop side. Jordan Love with 23 points, starting to look pretty good here at the end of the season. 267 yards in the air, 3 passing touchdowns. Good for 23.68 points on the day. David Montgomery adding 12.5 to the Mr. Poop total. 18 carries, 56 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 13.2 points, 7 catches, 62 yards. George Pickens, 12.6 points for him. He goes 4 catches for 86 yards. Big game for Isaiah Pacheco, 18 carries for 110 yards and a rushing touchdown. Also picks up 3 catches on 13 yards. That's good for 21.3 points for Pacheco. But he was outdone by the other running back in the flex spot, and that is Chuba Hubbard with a 25 carry, 104 yard, 2 rushing touchdown day. Good for 22.4 points. Mr. Poop only had 4 guys not go for double digits. On to Team Uncle Creepy's unfortunate Monday night for Trevor Lawrence. He had 25 points before going out in the late in the game. 258 yards in the air, 2 passing touchdowns. Also adds 8 yards rushing for a rushing touchdown as well. So unfortunate. Maybe Uncle Creepy's possibly mounts a comeback if Trevor Lawrence stays healthy. Who knows? We will never know, though. Jameson Williams, 10 points on the day, and what is becoming a very Jameson Williams stat line. He has 1 carry for 19 yards and a rushing touchdown, and then has 1 catch for 11 yards. 10 points on the day. Very odd for Jameson Williams, but 10 points nonetheless. Jonathan Mingo picks up 12.9 points, 6 catches for 69 yards. Nice. Brandon Cooks, 16.5 points, 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. And lastly, Antonio Gibson adds 11.2 points for 10 carries on 35 yards, 4 catches, 37 yards, leaves Dak Prescott on the bench. Mr. Poop moves to 5-8. Team Uncle Creepy's now falls to 1-12, and we move to the Sunday 1 p.m. matchup between my team, Captain Bruisin, and they call me Toby, the number 8 team at 5-7, and they call me Toby wiped the floor with Captain Bruisin as Captain Bruisin's team just so underwhelmed, and then combine that with more injuries. It was a rough day on the Captain Bruising side. Let's start with They Call Me Toby, though. 134.82 to 90.48. Jalen Hurts picks up 23.92 points. Goes 298 yards in the air, one touchdown in the air, then adds 7 carries for 20 yards and a rushing touchdown. Pretty solid fantasy day for Jalen Hurts, although his team got demolished by the 49ers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12.9 points, only 2 catches on the day, but one of them goes for a touchdown, and he adds 49 yards to salvage his fantasy performance. Devonta Smith, 9 catches, 96 yards, and a receiving touchdown. That's good for 24.6 points. Chris Olave, 5 catches, 119 yards. For him, it's good for 16.9 points. Trey McBride blows up. They send Ertz out the door. Trey McBride says, I'm your new guy. 8 catches, 89 yards, and a receiving touchdown. That's good for 22.9 points for Trey McBride. And lastly, Quentin Johnson does go over double digits for 10.2 points, 5 catches, 52 yards. On Captain Bruising side, this will be quick. This will be really quick, as only 3 players scored over double digits. You're not hearing me right. You're not hearing me wrong. 3 players over double digits. Let's start with one of them, Bijan Robinson, only 10.9 points on the day, 18 carries, 53 yards, no touchdowns, 3 catches for 26 yards, was shut down by the Jets pretty well. Nico Collins was definitely the star of the show for Captain Bruising, as he went ham sandwich on the Denver Broncos. 9 catches for 191 yards and a receiving touchdown. 2 of those catches go for over 40 yards for 2 additional bonus points. 36.1 points for Nico Collins on the day. Lastly, Elijah Moore gets the start. 4 catches, 83 yards, one of them over 40 yards. That's good for 13.3 points. Not even remotely just a good, not even kind of a good performance, just an overall bad performance on the day for Captain Bruising. Captain Bruising doesn't score 100 points. He looks awful. 4-9 is now Captain Bruising. They Call Me Toby picks up the victory and is now 6-7. And we go to the 4 p.m. matchup between number 7, Threat Level Midnight. That's right, number 17 in power rankings. 5-7, Threat Level Midnight taking on Nate Jans Cans at 7-5, the number 3 team heading in this week in the power rankings. And we have ourselves a nice little upset as Threat Level Midnight takes down the Cans 170-158 in a high scoring affair. Threat Level Midnight goes off. This is his highest score of the entire season, and it's the second highest score of the season, and it comes at a really good time. Let's start with Threat Level Midnight. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 points on the day, 280 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. 2 of them are over 40 yards, and they both go for touchdowns, so he picks up quite a few bonus points on the day. Javonte Williams goes 10 points exactly, 13 carries on only 46 yards, 3 catches for 24 yards for Javonte Williams. Star on his lineup, there's really 2 of them. Let's start with one of them. Deebo Samuel in one of the wildest stat lines. He goes 3 carries for 22 yards and a rushing touchdown. He then goes 4 catches for 116 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. 2 of those are over 40 yards. This man picks up 4 bonus points. He touches the ball 7 times in the game and picks up 3 touchdowns and has 138 yards on the day of all-purpose yards. He goes 39.8 points on the day, goes Deebo Samuel. Quite just a ridiculous stat line. His other big-time receiver and his other performance nearly matches Deebo Samuel's fantasy points, and that is the newly acquired DK Metcalf, hot off the streets from the Hay Kings, inserted into the Threat Level Midnight lineup, and he goes 6 catches, 134 yards, and 3 tutties for DK Metcalf. 1 catch for a touchdown going over 40 yards, so he picks up 2 additional bonus points. 39.4 points for DK Metcalf as his receivers Debo and DK contribute big time to the win. They will both be competing for the Hero Award this week. Taysom Hill gets the spot start in the tight end spot. The tight end goes 13 carries for 59 yards and a rushing touchdown, 2 catches for 15 yards, 15.4 points for Taysom Hill on the day. Deontay Johnson goes 13.3 points, 4 catches, 33 yards, and a receiving touchdown. And lastly, Curtis Samuel, the other Samuel, 4 catches, 65 yards, 10.5 points for Curtis Samuel. On to Jans Cans. Patrick Mahomes struggles again, goes 210 yards, 1 passing touchdown, throws a pick, does pick up 26 yards rushing, only 13 points on the day for Patrick Mahomes, and he is just really struggling to look like his former fantasy self and regular self for that matter. Alvin Kamara, though, has a huge day. 28.9 points for Alvin Kamara, 14 carries, 51 yards, 2 tuds, 6 catches, 58 yards against the Lions. What an effort for Alvin Kamara and the Cans. That is outdone by this man who is just regularly balling out both on a regular basis and a fantasy basis, and that is Tyreek Hill. He goes 5 catches for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for over 40 yards, 2 touchdowns over 40 yards. That's good for 4 bonus points, 36.3 points on the day for Tyreek Hill, helping Jans Cans to stay in this matchup. Nuke Hopkins, 18.9 points, 5 catches for 75 yards, and a touchdown for Hopkins. Evan Ingram having a huge Monday night. He goes 9 catches on 9 targets for 82 yards and a receiving touchdown. That's good for 23.2 points on the day for Evan Ingram. And lastly, Devontae Parker getting the spot start, getting 10.4 points for the Patriots, who score 0 points against the Chargers, but does pick up 4 catches for 64 yards. In the end, Jans Cans falls by 12 points, scoring 158 points and getting a 12-point loss. That is unfortunate for Nate's Jans Cans. They fall to 7-6. Threat level midnight, now 1 game back of the Cans at 6-7 with 170 points scored on the day. And we go to the Sunday night football matchup between the number 1 team, Prince Family Paper, looking to stay undefeated, going 12-0 on the season, taking on number 2, Crentis the Dentist at 9-3, but with the most points scored in the Finer Things Club, and it fits up to the billing. Crentis the Dentist topples the king, the undefeated 12-0 Prince Family Paper, 182 to 173. Down goes Frazier. Crentis the Dentist, Matt's team, picks up the most points scored this week and the most points we've had in a few weeks now in the Finer Things Club. Let's start with Matt's Crentis the Dentist. He goes 182 and only gets 12 points from his quarterback spot. Baker Mayfield, 12.88, throws 202 yards in the air, 1 passing touchdown, 1 pick. He does have 2 completions over 40 yards and 1 touchdown over 40 yards, so he does salvage it a little bit with some bonus points. Raheem Mostert, 12 points on the day, 11 carries, 43 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Also picks up a catch on 8 yards. Tony Pollard continues to score touchdowns only for Crentis the Dentist. I am not bitter, though. I am not bitter. 20 carries on 68 yards, wildly inefficient on the day for rushing, but one of them is a rushing touchdown. He also picks up 3 catches on 15 yards, 17.3 points for Tony Pollard. Michael Pittman is starting to become a regular baller in this lineup week in and week out now. Adds 27.5 points, goes 11 catches, 105 yards, and a receiving touchdown for Pittman. Helps not only Crentis the Dentist pick up a win, but also helps his Indianapolis Colts win on Sunday. The newly acquired wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, comes over, put in the lineup, 15.6 points, 5 catches, 46 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Jamar Chase on Monday Night Football says, I'm going to put this team on my back, and I'm going to show the league, and I'm going to show Matt, and I'm going to prove Prentice the Dentist that I am him. And boy, does he ever. 11 catches on 12 targets, 149 yards receiving, one big touchdown that goes over 40 yards, picks up 2 additional bonus points, 33.62 points for Jamar Chase. George Kittle, 10.8 points, goes 4 catches for 68 yards. Another big performance for Devon Achane. He starts 2 Dolphins running backs. They both go over double digits. Achane goes 17 carries, 73 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 catches, 30 yards in the air. That's good for 25.30 points on the day. Travis Etienne says, I got you too, Matt. I know I can do this thing. 11 carries, 45 yards, a rushing touchdown, 4 catches, 34 yards, 17.9 points for Travis Etienne. Only one player on the Prentice the Dentist lineup doesn't score double digits, and he missed it by 0.3 points. A ridiculous day for the Dentists. On to Prince Family Paper. Gardner Minshew gets the start, goes pretty freaking good. 21.68 points for Minshew, 312 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns in the air, 3 carries, 2 yards, does lose a fumble. 21.68 points for Gardner Minshew. Christian McCaffrey. We got to talk about this guy. I mean, is he a robot? 22.3 points. The man has never scored less than 13 points all season long. That's right, you did not hear me wrong. Lowest score of the season, 13.8 points. Scores another touchdown, 17 carries, 93 yards, a rushing touchdown, 3 catches on 40 yards, 22.3 points for Christian McCaffrey. Mike Evans goes off, 7 catches, 162 yards, and a receiving touchdown. And Mike Evans doing what he does best, going for the over 40 burgers. 2 catches for over 40 yards, 1 touchdown over 40 yards. Picks up 3 bonus points, 32.2 points for Mike Evans. Keenan Allen comes back to earth a little bit, does score over 10 points, 10.8 points for Keenan Allen on 5 catches for 58 yards. Travis Kelce, 12.1 points, 4 catches, 81 yards on the day for him. Cooper Kupp salvages his day, only has 39 yards receiving, but one of them is a touchdown, also picks up 6 catches as well. Christian Watson, 2 carries for 15 yards, 7 catches for 71 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that is a Christian Watson special. The guy is very touchdown dependent, but he gets them this week. 27.6 points for Christian Watson. And finally, A.J. Brown, 8 catches on 114 yards, 19.4 points for A.J. Brown. Only 2 players in Prince Family Paper's lineup does not score double digits. Unfortunately, that might have done him in as he picks up a loss. Less than 10 points separate the two. Prentice the Dentist goes to 10-3. Prince Family Paper picks up the first loss of the season, now at 12-1. And we have our final matchup, the Monday Night Football matchup between That's Dallas and the Hay Kings, in a very huge matchup, potentially deciding who is in the playoffs and who is out. Big stakes on the line, and stakes. One gets the filet mignon, the other gets table scraps, as the Hay Kings only scores 127 points. That's Dallas goes off for 178 points. It is a 178-127 rout. Kyler's That's Dallas is on a tear. Let's start with his team. Sam Howell, 19 points on the day. Kind of bailed out by the rushing touchdowns. Only goes 127 yards in the air, 1 2-point conversion, 1 pick, but goes 21 yards rushing for 2 rushing touchdowns. Rachaad White, very quietly having a incredible season now. 19.6 points on the day for Rachaad White, is a top 5 running back in fantasy this season. Zach Charbonnet goes 16.9 points, 19 carries, 60 yards, and a rushing touchdown. 1 reception, goes for 39 yards. CeeDee Lamb, huge day. 2 carries, 30 yards, 12 catches on 17 targets. 116 yards in the air and 1 receiving touchdown. Jalen Waddle goes 5 catches, 52 yards, 10.2 points. Sam Laporta goes big time. 9 catches on 9 targets, 140 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 catch for over 40 yards for the bonus point. Puts him at a clean, crisp 30.00 points exactly on the day. Kyren Williams helps Sean McVay, and that's Dallas in fantasy. 21 carries, 88 yards, a rushing touchdown, adds 3 catches for 24 yards, 20.2 points for Kyren Williams. And lastly, Joe Mixon on Monday night balls till he falls. 29.7 points. That's highest points of all the games he has played this year so far. 19 carries, 68 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, then picks 6 catches for 49 yards, almost scores 30 on the day. On to the Hay Kings. Jared Goff puts up a respectable 17.32 points, 213 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, only 2 carries though for -2 yards, only has 16 passes completed on the day. James Conner in a redemption game against his former team, the Steelers, 25 carries for 105 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. 22.5 points goes James Conner on the day, and that is the most he has scored all season as well. Cortland Sutton, 17.7 points, only picks up 2 catches, but they go for 77 yards and a touchdown. And then the touchdown is 40 yards. He has a reception for 40 yards, so picks up an additional 2 bonus points for him. Derrick Henry, in what the Hay Kings called his shot for Derrick Henry this week. Huge day, as it looks like Derrick Henry of old as the season goes late into the year. 21 carries for 102 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 catch for 18 yards. That's 25 points for Derrick Henry, although he does get knocked out of the game late. Lastly, Romeo Doubs, 4 catches for 72 yards and 11.2 points. Unfortunately for the Hay Kings, too many guys underwhelmed, and fortunately for that's Dallas, his team had some big-time performances and guys step up. It was 178-127. The Hay Kings pick up the tough loss, moves to 7-6. That's Dallas. Now, after struggling in the first half of the season, is surging, picks up a win, goes 7-6, and the Hay Kings, Jans Cans, and that's Dallas, all tied for 7-6 on the season. And that is our weekly rundown. What a crazy week again in the Finer Things Club. Week 13 was a crazy one. It had lots of playoff implications, and we'll have another one this week. In week 14. I think a couple of matchups will decide seeding and who ultimately gets in and who doesn't. But before we get to this coming week's matchup, let's dive into what the fallout of week 13 was. My team was the only team to not score 100 points this week. Embarrassing. Crentis the Dentist with 182 points, and that's with 3 starters out on bye. That is insane. The data shows that he was also 92% of his max points, which tells you he got all the juice out of that squeeze. Kyler's matchup with Jordan, the Hay Kings, was actually the biggest blowout of the week, surprisingly enough. And Threat Level Midnight, going into a gauntlet, finishes the season with the best 2 teams in the league, with Prince Family Paper and Crentis the Dentist. So the schedule is not kind for the next rest of the season for Threat Level Midnight, but James is not out of it yet, as we now have 4 teams fighting for 2 more spots. That's right, 2 spots, because officially after week 13, Crentis the Dentist gets into the dance, all but locks up the 2 seed. It would take a miracle for Prince Family Paper to lose both games, I believe. So Crentis the Dentist has all but locked up the 2 seed and has got himself, after 4 straight wins, into the playoffs officially. So congrats to Matt. Big week for Crentis the Dentist, week 13, as we are not done talking about his team and what that means. He's also the most points scored. Behind him is Lance, Prince Family Paper, in second. And then behind him is actually Kyler's. That's Dallas, who now has jumped into the 3rd spot. Folks, the comeback that's Dallas has made over the course of the season has been quite remarkable, as that's Dallas. Started off really rough. In fact, was selling off assets, I believe, getting ready to be a seller. Started the season 1-4. Won the second game, went 2-4, and then lost the next one, was 2-5, and since then has moved to be 7-6, number 3 in the standings, and we'll see where he's at in the power rankings. And then after him, in the 4th spot for most points scored, is Jans Cans, Nate, who has now lost 3 straight weeks in a row. Pretty interesting here as the end of the season, as Kyler's the team, that's Dallas, has moved into the 3 spot after rattling off a bunch of wins. Jans Cans now reeling with 3 straight losses, and so the Hay Kings have struggled as well, as they are the number 5 team in the standings. Also, next most points scored, and behind him is Threat Level Midnight, James's team, with in the 6th spot, but now at 6-7. And now has a rough last 2 opponents to play. So things are going to be very difficult for Threat Level Midnight, but he is not out of it yet. However, so there's a lot going on here in the next 2 weeks of games. Big matchups coming, and teams desperately looking for victories. So shout out to the winners this week. Congratulations to you. And, maybe not the greatest segment in the world, but let's talk about who ruined the program this week.
There's Paul Johnson right there. Ruined our program, and that's all right. He's still here.
Ruin the Program award this week is between 2 guys on 2 different teams. You could look at Frank's team, and they definitely have some candidates, but let's be honest, Frank's ruined his own program. So really, it's between the Prince Family Paper player and the Jans Cans player. I think it's close. Prince Family Paper's candidate for ruining the program is DeAndre Swift. He was projected 13 points, scored only 4. So he left 9 points on the table, which would have just been enough to beat Crentis the Dentist this week. Would have beaten him by 0.28 if DeAndre Swift would have put up his projected amount. However, DeAndre Swift went 6 carries for 13 yards. Less than 2 yards a carry on, just over 2 yards a carry on 6 carries, 2 catches for only 7 yards. Very uninvolved. Doesn't look to be injury related. Just game script did not favor him. He gained a total of 20 yards on the day. It was close. DeAndre Swift was definitely considered for this, but I have to go back to Jans Cans candidate, and that is Mr. Austin Eckler. Jans Cans needed 12 points, actually exactly 12 points to tie, 12.01 points to beat Threat Level Midnight. But Austin Eckler wet the bed in a mighty way, and the guy starting to concern folks. Does he still have it? Is he hurt, playing hurt? Who knows? But Austin Eckler was projected 18.93 points, almost 19 points this week. He puts up 4.70 points. He left almost 15 points on the table. He went 14 carries, got plenty of opportunity for 18 yards, just a smidge over 1 yard a carry, and then adds 2 receptions for 9 yards. He puts up 27 total yards of offense, and he touched the ball 16 times. That is brutal. Austin Ekeler, even if he put up 2/3 of the points or 3/4 of the projected points, he would have beaten Thread Level Midnight. He didn't, though, and so Austin Ekeler, sir, you have ruined the program this week.
I saved a life. My own. Am I a hero? I really can't say, but yeah.
Hero Award time, and there are some good choices to choose from, as there were teams who had guys really step up in a mighty way, in huge ways. We have Ja'Marr Chase. We have DK Metcalf. We have Deebo Samuel. And then we also have CeeDee Lamb and Sam Laporta. Some really good choices out there. Unfortunately for That's Dallas, he beat his opponent so bad. I don't know if those guys on his team would be considered heroes, because even if Sam Laporta put up a third goose egg on Kyler's team, he still would have won. No disrespect to the Hay Kings, but, that's the reality of it. So I think I had to go back to Threat Level Midnight and Crentis the Dentist to see who their heroes were this week. And I think I have to, because of the way the matchup, and it probably was the last hoorah for Prince Family Paper to get beaten. I think they run the table if they don't lose this week against Crentis the Dentist. They put up 174 points on the week. They shouldn't have won. They shouldn't have lost, but they did. And that is because Ja'Marr Chase was this week's hero. Even though Deebo Samuel scored more points, had a wild stat line, Ja'Marr Chase on Monday Night Football ascended the points up the scale just over the 180 point for Crentis the Dentist to give him the victory after the big touchdown catch to put not only Crentis the Dentist over the top, but the Cincinnati Bengals. He goes 11 catches on 12 targets, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, and that big one, like I said, got him another 2 bonus points for 33.62 points on the day. So Ja'Marr Chase is this week's Hero Award winner. Want to know what you're playing for? $100. That's right, $100 is on the line for the team who can out-survive and outplay and outwit and outsmart their fellow owners in the Finer Things Club League. Last year, Nate Jans Cans took home the Survivor Contest champion, came away with a hundo, and got the cherry on the top of his season and provided a silver lining to his season. Came away with $100. This year, we will have a new champion as Nate went home right towards the end. And this week, we only had 2 owners left fighting for the Survivor Champion trophy and prize. It was between Kyler's That's Dallas and Matt's Crentis the Dentist. 2 teams surging up the standings, surging up the points scored, both teams peaking at the right time. Crentis the Dentist looking to pull out the victory over the formidable and strong Prince Family Paper. Kyler looking for the big win over the Hay Kings, both having something extra to play for, both coming down to Monday Night Football. However, one team pulls out the survivor instinct, is able to hold on just a little longer in the contest, is able to out-grit the other owner, and that is Crentis the Dentist. Matt Wishon pulling out a mere 4 points of margin of victory over Kyler in the points this week to become the 2023 Finer Things Club Survivor Champion as he scores 182.70 points. Kyler's That's Dallas with a very strong performance in himself, made it come down to the wire. Unfortunately, he could not hang quite long enough to see it through as Crentus the Dentist, all his players scored double digits except one, and he was 0.3 points shy. So Crentus the Dentist, congratulations. You win $100 this year. I'll be sending that to you shortly. You are the Survivor Champion. You are the 2023 Survivor Champion. Congrats to you. You have earned it.
Why not, man? I'm coming for that #1 spot. All right. Rappers swearing they own top. But I'm coming for that #1 spot. All right, man.
Power rankings time. And we got some changes this week. We got some shifting in the power rankings. Before we talk about the new ones, let's go recap what they were heading into week 13. Prince Family Paper was at the top at #1, then Crentus the Dentist #2, Jan's Cans was 3, That's Dallas was 4, the Hay Kings were 5, Captain Bruisin was 6, Threat Level Midnight at 7, They Call Me Toby at 8, Mr. Poop at 9, and number 10 was Uncle Creepies. This week, they had some changes, starting at the bottom. Number 10, where he has been all year, Uncle Creepy's at 1-12. If we're doing, we'll break this up into tiers here. Bottom tier, for sure. Then we have Mr. Poop at number 9 at 5-8. Below the 4-9, Captain Bruisin at 8. Then we have They Call Me Toby at 7. At 6-7. In the 7th spot in the power rankings. Then we have Threat Level Midnight at the number 6 spot at 6-7. And then we have the Hay Kings at 7-6 in the number 5 spot as he slips to 5. Actually, he was already at 5, so no slipping there. But there, I would say that the tiers really go. Well, we'll get into tiers in just a second. The Hay Kings is the number 5 at 7-6. Then Jan's Cans falls from 3 to 4, going to 7-6. Number 3 is That's Dallas, also at 7-6. Number 2, for the first time in a while, is not Crentus the Dentist. It is Prince Family Paper at 12-1. Just around 100 points more in power ranking score below the new number 1 team, Crentus the Dentist. First team to get to 8,000 power ranking score points at 10-3. This is the first year I'm saving and documenting all the power rankings. I want to see the power rankings score over the years to see, what is normal and what is subpar, not great, and excellent and phenomenal. So we'll be able to look back to this year and see just as a standard where the power ranking score lie, on a week-to-week basis against, previous years. But Prince Family Paper overtaken for the number 1 spot. That's Dallas moving into the 3 spot. Threat Level Midnight jumping back up to the 6th spot. And so really the tiers go something like this. Uncle Creepy's in a tier by himself at the bottom. I would actually say based on power ranking score, it goes Mr. Poop, Captain Bruisin, They Call Me Toby, all in a tier. And then we go Threat Level Midnight, the Hay Kings in a separate tier in that 3rd to bottom tier. And then we have the Hay Kings kind of in a tier to themselves. And then we have Jan's Cans and That's Dallas in that 2nd tier. And then we have Prince Family Paper and Crentus the Dentist neck and neck in the top tier. So to recap real quick, number 10, Uncle Creepies. Number 9, Mr. Poop. Number 8, Captain Bruisin. Number 7, They Call Me Toby. Number 6, Threat Level Midnight. Number 5, The Hay Kings. The number 14, Jan's Cans. Number 3, That's Dallas. Number 2, Prince Family Paper. And number 1, Crentus the Dentist.
Comprehension skills, subpar.
Interviewing skills, subpar. What are you writing? Can't even give Cornell your full attention.
On the contrary, I'm helping Cornell by evaluating their interviewers.
Nobody wants that to happen.
Well, when they get my evaluation, we'll see if they're interested.
Applicant is attempting to blackmail interviewer showing low moral character.
Interviewer is threatening applicant with an arbitrary review process.
Applicant is wasting everyone's time with stupid and inane accusations.
Interviewer has suspect motives.
Applicant has a head shaped like a trapezoid.
Interviewer has turned off applicant's interest in Cornell, and they are going to go to the vastly superior Dartmouth. Ever heard of it? I think I have everything
I have
need.
everything I
You will
need.
be hearing from the
And
Cornell
you will be hearing
application
from the
department.
Cornell
You will not be
application
pleased with
department.
the
And you
result.
will not be pleased with the
And
result.
Your
And
affiliation
your
with Cornell
affiliation with
will
Cornell
end
will
completely.
Completely.
Hey, goodbye. Actually, no, that's not what I wanted to say. It is time for another interview, and this guy's starting to become a regular appearance, but he's deserved it. It is the owner of The Dentist, formerly Prentice the Dentist. That is Mr. Matt Wishon. Matt, how are we feeling this morning?
Man, I don't think I could feel any better, to be honest with you.
You don't? I can see why. Obviously, you picked up, a victory that I don't know if I've ever seen more people root for someone in a particular matchup than we saw last night, as your team takes down Prince Family Paper in his undefeated season. Walk me through what you were thinking yesterday as you had Travis Etienne and Jamar Chase left to take the victory. What was going through your head beginning of the day and then leading up to the game and then through the game?
Well, I'd be lying if I told you I was like 100% confident in it. I was down 43 heading into Monday night. I wasn't sure how Jake Browning was gonna work out with Jamar Chase. Actually, fun fact about Jake Browning: he's the all-time passing leader at Washington, University of Washington. I didn't know that. I Googled it this morning.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So, I knew I was rooting for a boom game from Travis Etienne. He's kind of been, he regressed a little bit, and then he's, starting to get back into the low double digits, and I kind of needed him up and above 20, and, he played his part. I think he got me like 17, but Jamar Chase just showing why he is elite. And one of the best, him and Tyreek Hill are two of the best deep threats in football. And so I'm just, I knew I could do it. I wasn't 100% confident in it, but things worked out for me, man. We stand on business over here. That win is for the boys. That's for everybody.
Yeah, I love it, man. That was fun. That was a fun one. Well, it was a fun one to watch, except for I won't get into the horrible implications of the injury that happened last night to Trevor Lawrence. But it was a great fantasy time for the like you said, for the boys. So that was awesome. I knew it could happen. I remember waking up yesterday and then checking everything in the league, and I looked at your matchup, and I said 43 points for Chase and Etienne is far from impossible. That is actually quite possible. So I did not doubt for a moment that you couldn't pull that off. So pretty wild stuff. So the implications of that is now you have officially and mathematically locked up a playoff spot with that victory. So congrats to you on that. Yeah. Prentice the Dentist has now punched the ticket officially into the dance. So congrats to you, Matt. And Prentice the Dentist, as we just heard, is the number one team once again in the power rankings. Obviously being in the playoffs is probably more important to you, but how are you feeling now with only 2 weeks left in the regular season?
I mean, that's great news. I didn't know I'd officially locked it in, so that's awesome. I kind of felt I was going to, but no, I feel great. I mean, I put up 183 points without Josh Allen, without DJ Moore, without Devontae Adams. This was my big bye week, and we still showed up. So I'm extremely confident heading forward. So it's man, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, arguably the most impressive week because of what you just said. I mean, your quarterback is the number one fantasy quarterback in all of fantasy football. Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in all of football. DJ Moore is having a fantastic year, and you scored 183 without all three of those guys. That's insane to me. I mean, big time props to you and your team. Now, as you head into the final 2 weeks, you have good opponents left, right, but you've locked in the playoff spot. Does the seeding matter to you at all?
I mean, I think we could line up against anybody. If you're asking who I'd prefer to play first round, it would not be Kyler. You know what I mean? I mean, he's kind of surging right now. I said the last time I was on, his team's dangerous, and while I'm certainly not afraid of that matchup, you know, I'd prefer a Nate or Jordan first round, but you know, we'll just continue to grind it out.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question. Is it if you had a preference on who you'd like to play? I think it'll ultimately end up being you in the 2 seed because Lance's last 2 games is against James, which he could beat him, but then they also wrapped up with Jake. So he would have to lose his next 2 games and you would have to win your next 2 games, and I just don't see that scenario playing out.
No.
But yeah, man, I mean, obviously your team is ridiculously deep, and then you pick up Brandon Ayuk here at the end of the season. Are there any holes to speak of in your opinion on your team?
No, I don't see any. I feel like I shored that up with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, it wasn't really even a need. It was just kind of like I need somebody during this big bye week against Lance. You know, I sold all my first round picks. Like I'm going for broke. I've got a window, and so I'm going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, man. I mean, things are looking freaking good for you, man. Your highest points scored by quite a bit. You now surpassed Lance in the power rankings for the number 1 spot. You've locked yourself in basically into the 2 seed, and your team is freaking rolling. You got any messages for anyone, man? You got anything you want to say to end this interview out? You got anything you want to say to the league or any specific owners?
I definitely want to give props to Lance. I mean, 12-0 in this league is ridiculous. I mean, his team is so good, so good, and I knew I could beat him. You know, I'm glad I'm the one to hand him this L. But major props to him and his team. It's been super impressive. The other 3 guys, I guess, jockeying for playoff positions, I you know, not really concerned, but whoever it may be, I'll see you first round.
All right, man. Well, there you have it. Matt, owner of Crentis the Dentist, off the big 182-173 win over Prince Family Paper. Thank you for joining me today. And what was your flu game this weekend? Your flu weekend. I'm glad you're feeling better, or at least some better. And thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you have a great rest of the week, man.
All right, you as well.
See you, man.
Later.
All right, you thought that would be it. You thought we would just interview one owner after this wild and wacky week 13. You have thought wrong, as I have with me the proud owner of That's Dallas, Mr. Kyler Parkinson. Kyler, how you doing this morning?
What's going on? Oh, I'm feeling great this morning. You thought that would be it, but you saved the best for last. I appreciate you, Mish. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, look, you had, I think you would understand, Matt taking down Lance's Prince Family Paper to ruin the undefeated season, and the season that he's having is quite special. But, you had a huge week. You and Jordan had a big matchup. I think it was a foregone conclusion whoever won was going to get brought back on. So how are you feeling about the matchup? How are you feeling about the victory? Biggest margin of victory of the week.
Oh yeah, I feel good about it. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. My team was ready. They were prepared for it, and it feels good, man. We don't win every game, but we win when we need to win, and that's kind of been our mentality this year is getting it done when we need to get it done. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, you have. So let's talk about it. You started off. I said it in the post rundown. You started off the season 2-5. Rough start. A lot of people. I think maybe, and maybe you can walk through your thinking, but maybe including yourself, thought the season was looking bleak. You sold A.J. Brown. You did get some good assets in return, but it looked like maybe that's Dallas was prepping for 2024. Since then, you're now 7-6, and you're in the 3 spot in the standings. How did that happen?
Man, it feels good. I can't lie to you. 2-5. I knew where I was at 2-5. I knew what the schedule I had coming up. I played a lot of guys, a lot of good teams to start the season as well as having some guys that were just not performing like I know they could. And so I was really debating. I did kind of do a partial sellout, which, I mean, at this point, I'm okay with. We're winning without those guys. We trimmed the fat, you could say. So I feel good about it still. I'm still confident in it. I feel good winning, that many in a row. Really, I can't lie to you. I really wanted that win last week. I could taste it. I wanted it so bad, and that would have been 6 in a row. So if I won that one, so that hurts. But we keep moving forward. One thing I'll tell you, a pivotal moment in our locker room. Old Sam came up to me, Sam Howell. That is Howell is what I call him. But he came up to me. He said they're going to put some respect on our name. We're going to make them respect us. And that was after we were 2-5. A lot of trash being talked about in the recaps about my team and what we come here to do. And we won't stand for it. We won't stand for the disrespect. And that's what he told me. I don't always let the guys listen to the recap, but when people are talking nonsense, I put it on in the locker room from time to time and gives them a little motivation.
Bulletin board material, man.
Yeah, and Sam Howell, he's a big locker room guy. You may not know that about him, but he's real big in the Dallas locker room. So he got the guys going, and we just haven't stopped since.
Man, poised for a young man, that Sam Howell.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredible.
All right, well, that's good to know. That's the insight I'm looking for here on these recaps. So thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that.
I got you, man.
So you just mentioned, I want to bring up something. I love you, Kyler, but I got to bring up something. Preparing for this interview, I was looking at your season on your schedule, and the wins have been impressive. The comeback has been impressive, but your record against teams over 500 is not great. You've beaten one team this year with a 500 or better record, and that's the Hay Kings this past week. You blew them out. Is this you just peaking at the right time, and now you're rolling, and it doesn't matter who you play, or have you caught some breaks, like you said, in the middle of your schedule where you're playing some weaker teams?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I had to look at that myself. When deciding the future of the team, when I was 2-5, I knew I was like, I'm playing some softer teams. So I don't want to get if I'm winning a few games here and there, it's expected. But I don't want to give myself any false hope. But if you look at it though, they're not just wins. Most of them are blowout wins, and I've been in the top side of the scoring in these last 7 weeks, almost every single week, and I'm beating just about everybody. So, if you were to take those numbers head to head, so I looked at that myself just to be sure, and so I think it's a little of both. I play some softer guys in the schedule. Jordan, definitely a softer team in the league. I think he has some buys, but I just don't see him. I think I might have put the cap to his season there. Anytime you have a guy like like him that can lose to Frank, he can lose to anybody. So I think there's no guarantee for him the rest of the way. But yeah, there's definitely some softer spots in the schedule, but also I'm blowing people out. So it's, I think I would do that against anybody. So I got no problems there. If you look, I've climbed up the points. I just jumped over Nate here, so I'm third in the league in points.
You did, yeah.
And I got Lance in my sight. He's only 200 ahead of me, a little bit less than 200. So I think I'm up there with the rest of them.
Well, as of recording this interview, I don't believe you've learned of the new power rankings for this week, but you've also jumped Nate in the power rankings, as That's Dallas is now just ahead of James Cairns in the power rankings. So you're both third in the standings and both
inevitable
in the power rankings.
Yeah, it was coming. You can see the writing on the wall. So he knew it. I knew it. He could see it coming. So it's all good.
Yeah, man. Well, so your next 2 weeks, I mean, what is the plan to get in? And it doesn't matter the seed. Does the seed matter to you? You got arguably the biggest matchup for the next 2 weeks combined of the league with Nate this week. And then you got me, which should be a fairly easy win.
Yeah.
Are you looking for does it matter what seed you're in, or you just want to get in? Doesn't matter who you play, or it's going to be Lance or Matt regardless, and you just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, to me it doesn't matter too much. Like I said, I think these last couple of weeks especially tell me that my team can play with the best of them. So I didn't beat Lance, but I was very close, and to be honest, I made a bad decision, and that's on me. But if I make that right decision, it's a very different story. So I got no problem. I actually would prefer the 4th seed. I'm going to win every game. That's my plan, one at a time. But I would like to play Lance, to be honest with you. I want Lance. I want another shot at him. There's a little bit of bad blood there, and he's got a little chip on his shoulder. And I want to take the guys out like that. I don't want a cheap championship. I want to take him out. So I would like a crack at him. We know there's blood in the water now, and we know he can lose. And I want to be a part of that. But if it's Matt, if it's Lance, it doesn't matter to me. We've been planning for the guys in front of us, every game this season. And right now it's James Cairns, so we're going to take care of business with that first, and then I'll worry about who I play at that time.
Yeah, so let's talk about your matchup with James Cairns this week. The two of you essentially are within a point roughly of each other in average fantasy points per week. Your teams are extremely close. You're less than 30 points separate your total points scored on the season. You both got the same records. There's a lot of similarities there, not in roster construction necessarily, but there's a lot of similarity in how your teams have performed. What's your thoughts on this week? I see you've got a couple of buys, late week 14 buys, which is hilarious. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I got a couple guys out. Not too many of the main guys really. Howell being out, I don't like that. And there's somebody else I'm not thinking of, but it was Hollywood. But yeah, that paired with Tank Dell being out for the season is not great. I can't lie to you. But even with Tank Dell being out last week, the team around him just stepped it up. And, I was the second highest scorer of the week. So I think we'll be fine. I got no worries on that. There's some other guys that on the team that, as somebody mentioned before, with these secondhand injuries, they're actually benefiting from some of these secondhand injuries. So I got some guys that will fill that spot, especially with as you get later in the season, other guys are going out and other guys are getting better opportunities. So I'm sure it'll be a close matchup. To be honest with you, I was looking at the roster. I think it may come down to a Waddle versus Tyreek moment. Who does what in that game? And I'm really counting on Waddle this week. He hasn't been who I know him to be as far as those boom weeks. He hasn't really had one yet this year. and he is due. So I told him that. I told him that this morning. I said, "You're due this week." So we'll see what happens. But I feel very confident about it, and I think we'll get a win. You know, no problem. You there?
I'm sorry, I was talking on mute like a dummy. What a rookie mistake. What I was saying is you and him both have the Waddle, like you said, the Tyreek Hill Waddle matchup. He also has DeAndre Hopkins on Monday night, so he'll have 2 Monday night players going. So I think, like you said, it'll come down to the Monday night game between the Dolphins and the Titans. But it'll be interesting, man. He's got a lot of late matchups, actually, late game times. He's got a lot of 4 p.m., 4 o'clock games. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
How that
Yeah, that's always nerve-wracking, but we're going to hit him hard and hit him early. And my goal is hopefully that doesn't play a factor. But if it does, I think I got a good feeling about Waddle this week. So we'll see.
All right, man. Well, look, big week coming up. If you take the loss, things start looking hard, interesting potentially. Who knows? Let's see what happens with. Yeah, I would classify this as must win for sure. Any messages to your fellow team, your fellow league mates, your fellow owners? Anybody in particular you want to talk about or talk to? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. It will be said with my play here coming up. I will say this is not the last time you're gonna hear my voice on this recap this year, and I can guarantee you that. But we're knocking on the door. I told y'all last time that my revenge tour was starting up. I already took a trip to James's, took him out, just got done with Jordan. Lance threw a little wrench in the plan, but I got one more. I think I got one more matchup with him coming up. So right now I'm knocking on Jan's Can's door, and getting ready to take care of business. So yeah, you will see me. Just know that I'm coming. I'm on the way.
Help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Kyler. Appreciate it. Owner of That's Dallas, the 7-6, third place. That's Dallas. Thank you, Kyler, and have a great rest of the day.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one.
See you.
Hey, Dwight. Hey. You want an M&M?
No, thanks. I'm stuffed.
No, seriously. You should have an M&M. They're really good.
Okay.
Good, huh?
So good.
Hey, I thought you weren't supposed to eat anything for a couple of hours after you've had a crown put in.
They're having this new kind of quick-drying bonding. So.
Sounds like a good dentist.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Crentist.
Your dentist's name is Crentist. Huh. Sounds a lot like dentist.
Maybe that's why he became a dentist.
Let me see your teeth. Let me see them. Let me see them. Oh. You should floss them.
I know.
Well then. I'm glad you're okay. Business is like a jungle, and I am like a tiger. And Dwight is like a monkey that stabs the tiger in the back with a stick. Does the tiger fire the monkey? Does the tiger transfer the monkey to another branch. Pun. There is no way of knowing what goes on inside the tiger's head. We don't have the technology.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up.
All the way up this week. Back-to-back weeks. That's right. Prentice the Dentist, highest scoring team of the week, edges out the next best team by 4.5 points. That's Dallas. But Prentice the Dentist taking the top scoring team once again this season. Remarkable. He goes back-to-back weeks for the All the Way Up award. Actually, he goes 3 straight weeks. Weeks 11, 12, and 13, all the way up goes to Matt Prentice the Dentist. This is the year. Is it the year of the dentist? We will find out. But congratulations to you, Prentice the Dentist. You hold so many of these weeks. In fact, you have 6, I believe, if I count them correctly, 6 of the top scoring weeks of the 13 weeks that we've had. So, phenomenal season this week. You had, as we've already discussed, Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, and DJ Moore, and Jordan Addison all on bye, and you managed to score 182 points. The only player to score less than 10 was Najee Harris, and he went 9.7. You started 2 Dolphins running backs. One gave you 25, the other gave you 12. Pittman goes for 27. Chase is the Hero Award winner this week. He goes 33. ETN almost gives you 18. And even Baker Mayfield, he didn't look great, but he gave you, 12.88 points. I mean, he gave you almost as much as Mahomes, gave Giants Kansas. So, not the worst thing in the world. So congratulations to you, Prentice the Dentist. You've earned it 3 straight weeks at the top scoring team of the week. Now we will go into the individual performers of week 13 and, the leaders of each position. So let's start with quarterback, as we always do. Number 1, a scoring quarterback in fantasy football in the Finer Things Club in week 13, Brock Purdy. Kyler's That's Dallas quarterback, top scoring quarterback of all the quarterbacks playing in week 13 with 34.5 points. Looking elite, James says. 4 passing touchdowns, no picks, no turnovers. Looking great against the Eagles. Number 2 quarterback, Geno Smith of the Hay Kings. 33 points for Geno Smith. He looks great, even though he picked up the loss against the Cowboys. But still, number 2 scoring quarterback in week 13. Number 3, an unowned quarterback. Rare, very rare, especially in week 13. But Jake Browning of the Bengals gets the 3rd highest score of all quarterbacks in week 13 with 29.7 points on Monday night against a good defense in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking excellent. 29.7. Outscoring Dak Prescott. So congrats to Jake Browning. Unowned. On to running back. Joe Mixon, the number 1 scoring running back, the newly acquired Joe Mixon of That's Dallas now. 29.7 points, just barely edging out by less than a point. The number 2 scoring running back, that's Alvin Kamara of Jans Cans with 28.9 points. And number 3 is Devon Achane. When healthy, looks to be contending to be in this part of each and every recap with 25.3 points, beating Derrick Henry out by 0.3 points. So Matt's Prentice the Dentist with the number 3 scoring running back in week 13. On to wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, who is also the highest scoring player of all fantasy football in week 13. 39.8 points for James's threat level midnight. 116 yards receiving on only 4 catches, 2 receiving touchdowns, rushes for a touchdown, even had some kick return yardage. So just an insanely amazing player all the way around. 39.8 points for threat level midnight receiver. Number 2, another threat level midnight receiver in DK Metcalf, who was just acquired from the Hay Kings. 39.4 points for James's threat level midnight receiver DK Metcalf, number 2 on the week. And number 3, I know, shocking, Tyreek Hill, 36.3 points, making his weekly appearance in the leader portion of the recap of Jan's Cans. So congrats to those guys. And lastly, at tight end, Sam Laporta, top scoring tight end in week 13. That's Dallas tight end with 30 points, 140 yards receiving, 9 catches, one receiving touchdown. Caught all of his targets. 23.2 points for the number 2 scoring tight end. That's Evan Ingram of Jan's Cans. 23.2 points this week for Evan Ingram is the number 2 scoring tight end. And number 3 is They Call Me Toby's tight end, Trey McBride. Welcome, Trey McBride. He might be making a name for himself here at the later part of the season. 22.9 points for Trey McBride, 8 catches, 89 yards, and a receiving touchdown. So those are your individual leaders. What a crazy week 13. We have playoff seeding and playoff spots up for grabs here in week 14 coming up. Last week to trade. That means you have until the final whistle of the Monday Night Football game to make a trade with another team after the Monday night game is over on Monday night. The trade deadline is now come and gone, and no trades can be done after that until the season is over. So if you're looking to make a move to either prepare for the future or making a move to bolster your playoff push, this is your last week to do so. Congrats again, Matt, for the $100 in the Survivor contest. Side Pod now is pushing $140, so $160 potentially this week. So a lot to play for still, even if you're out of it. And I hope everyone has a great week. Best of luck to everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Where'd you get that matching Benz with them windows tinted? Who them girls you be with when you be riding through? Man, I ain't got nothing to prove. I paid my dues, breaking the rules and shake fools while I'm taking the cruise. Tell me who's.
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. Right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.